It's tea time, positive tea time, and we are spilling all of it right here in this space created by two crazy fun-loving besties. It's a no judgment zone for sharing stories of hope, faith, love, growth, and most of all, grace and gratitude. So join us as we get ready to share some positivity and get a fresh perspective on life.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Spilling the Positivity. We are just really excited today, Maria and I. Maria, tell them who we have with us.
We have a very special, all our guests are special, but we have an extra special guest today. All the way from Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania is Sonia Layne Gartside, Global Consultant. Welcome, Sonia.
Welcome, Sonia. She might be from Pittsburgh now, but she is born and bred Beijing.
Yes. Absolutely. And let me just make a plug per Adua at Astra, Alexandra girl to the bone. We got a rep for the girls in the north.
They went to school together, so you know, the whole thing going on. And I can also say that I worked with Sonia on one of my first jobs, okay? So we all have claim to Sonia.
Yes, we sure do.
Sonia, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Sonia, tell us, what have you been up to? Now, we know you've always been in the development sphere and, you know, I guess higher education and all that. What have you been doing? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
So, as you say, I did come from a higher education background here in Barbados. And, you know, I got married about 14 years ago and I transitioned to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. As I like to say to everyone, my husband is a professor of math at the University of Pittsburgh, and of the two of us, I'm more employable. I am the one that moved because of the job. I went back into the higher education field when I was there because that's what I know, you know, training and developing executive education, masters in leadership, etc. About 5 years ago, I started my own consultancy, and that's what I've been working with on now. I've been working with businesses. I've been working with professionals, executive coaching.
And life coaching.
And life coaching, definitely. Dealing with training and change management and helping organizations. I like to say I partner with leaders so that they can make their people better and the environment and create environments in which people can thrive.
Okay, that's excellent. And that goes right into what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly. But before we get into that, I just want to talk a little bit more about the massive change that you made. I think that's something our audience would love to hear. Yes. Tell us about that move, because we lived that move with you. Yes. We were part of that. Tell us how that happened.
Well, you know, my husband decided I'm more employable, and I always say to people, I left a very successful career.
Yeah.
Where I am known, where I had a network. And I moved to a country where the only person I knew in that state was one person, and it was my new husband.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
That's it. And I couldn't work for 2 years because we went on a visa that said, you know, back then it was the H-1B visa. So after 2 years, then I could work. And then it was like, I knew no one. I had no connections, nothing, and I had to rebuild from scratch.
So you've been married for 14 years, but how long had you dated?
Yes.
And it was a long distance.
Right, it was a long distance. So we dated for 2 years, it was a long distance. And then I landed, and then when we got married, I landed and moved. And that was the first time we had lived together.
Yes. Wow. Wow,
But the good thing is we had traveled together.
Okay.
Because we had a pre moon, so you know you still
You had a pre-honeymoon.
And so we traveled through New Zealand for 6 weeks together. And if you really want to know some person,
absolutely travel with that person.
That is a fact. I will definitely
exactly
that one.
That is very true.
Yes, we traveled all up and down the 2 islands of New Zealand together, and that's where you really. But you know, the beauty of our relationship is that at a certain age, you get to a point where you say, start as you mean to go on.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't any, I'm going to put on my best, you know, put my best foot forward or put on my best face.
This is very authentic. Take me or leave me.
Yes.
But I mean, in fairness, Sonia, you've always been that kind of person anyway.
Yes.
This is
what you see is what you get, right?
This is what you get. You know, it is like, I want you where you are. I don't date based on potential. So
right.
You gotta be what you are so that we can be honest and authentic. So I think that is really good, getting to know people. Building relationship with a person so that when you're thrown into a situation where you have one, you know, you only know that person, you have a solid foundation in which to step off into the unknown. And I love to say that experience taught me that there's beauty in the unknown. Pivoting is great. You got to create your future. And so when there's uncertainty, look for opportunities to create your future.
Say that again. Because there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. People are feeling it. So say that one more time.
When there's uncertainty, you have to create your future. Look for the opportunities. And I always say to people, when we were on our pre-moon, we were in New Zealand, and there was a bridge that you passed where people bungee jumped off a bridge. And I thought to myself, that's what I'm doing with my life, right? I'm bungee jumping by leaving everything I know. By that time, I was director of research at the Cape Town School of Business. Going to a new area, I'm just jumping off a bridge with, you know, just the you know, they tie your feet together. And what tied my feet together was just the marriage. So I decided, I'm gonna go do that and just test it out. And
so you actually bungee jumped as well? Oh wow, so fantastic.
How many feet up were you?
I don't know, but it was really hard.
Because
I have a video of it, and it's me at the top when they say, Sonia, are you good? And I was going, oh God. So I put them to later.
That's the uncertainty right there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm afraid of heights.
Oh, wow.
So this was so much fear. And when they said, okay, you can jump off now, and I said, can't you push me? And they said, no, we don't push people off.
You actually I think that would be a legal issue if anything went wrong, okay?
No, you have to jump off yourself. And I was like, Sonia, this is life right here. So, you know, grab courage. Courage is what you need. I say that all the time. You don't necessarily need just esteem or confidence. You need the courage to do things.
Absolutely.
And so I jumped. And when I jumped, I was literally trying to control myself and control the way it landed. Can you imagine? I am at the top of a bridge jumping off, and I'm trying to control. And somewhere like 2 seconds later, I realized this is madness.
You can't control that.
And once you stop trying to control, what happened?
It was the most freeing, exhilarating experience that I have ever had.
And that is a metaphor for life.
Big life lesson right there.
Exactly.
And I was like, see, and then you let go and you just let it take you, and it was like, woohoo! This is so great. And I thought, this I have to learn from when I go, you know, when I transition and change my life so 100%, is that I am not going to try to control it. I am just going to let go and just ride the wave.
Trust the process.
Look for opportunities. And that's what I really realized, and that's the focus of my book, which is you got to harness that anxiety and recognize that doubt is normal, fear is normal, but you have to just jump off, because there's beauty in those unopened, you know, spaces. And every time I get a chance to bungee jump, I do it just to reinforce that. That's life.
That's fantastic. And yes, she's an author as well. With all of that, tell us the name of your book.
Workplace Anxiety: How to Refuel and Reengage. Because I like to say to people, resilience is about how you refuel, not how hard you work or how hard you grind or how hard you hustle. It's about, do you take the time to refuel so that you have enough energy to move through? And of course, I work with a lot of leaders, and there's a lot of stressors in work. And I like to tell people the stressors aren't the issue. It's how you respond to the stressors.
But isn't that life completely, whether it's work, school, whatever it is? I mean, the truth is that it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you. But that anxiety and that fear is real, because I have an issue with fear and anxiety. I have an issue with trying to control things. And when I feel like stuff is out of my control, that's when the anxiety goes through the roof.
And I have high functioning anxiety, right? Which isn't a medical term, but it's where you're functioning really well, and to the outside world you look that everything is successful. But as you say, I'm constantly trying to control everything and avoid things going wrong.
Option A and plan B and C and D
and Z.
And what it does is that you just borrow trouble. You just, you just ruminate and
that rumination.
Yeah.
So tell us about rumination.
And it's where you and I think it's when you lack even more control, when you fear the future is uncertain, you don't know what's going to happen, and you start to worry about what can happen. And we never think, beautiful things can happen.
Yeah, always the negative things that you start to.
What can go wrong?
What can go wrong, and what can I do about it?
Yeah.
And as some person who has high functioning anxiety, I feel like if I worry about it, everything is going to go well.
Yeah.
So if something goes wrong, it's because I didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
I didn't prepare for this moment.
But it goes back to that saying, right? Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst.
Right. So you just ruminate and go down.
Yeah.
And so now what I've learned, and that bungee jumping and moving taught me this, is that I can do hard things. I have a history of success.
Yes.
And I have the tools in which I know how to navigate whatever I'm feeling.
Right.
The emotional agility, the emotional intelligence to be self-aware and then manage myself to build relationships to move forward.
Yeah.
And so that's people say life doesn't get easier, you just get better, and that's true.
Yeah, and I really can relate to that, because I know for myself, I am one of these people that like to do change. And when I like to do change, I always remind myself, because I too have some level of high functioning anxiety. I always think, okay, plan A, B, C, D, E. But one thing I've realized in my life is that my life has prepared me for the next chapter. So all the different things I've gone through helps me to come to the point where I can come to a point where I can say, yeah, but this is going to be easy because I've done worse than this. I've gone through harder things than this.
Right.
And I use that muscle memory to say, yes, let's do it.
What we like to call self-talk.
So,
When you're going through, and that's it. And and that's what we need to do when we're going through anything, any type of change, any type of uncertainty, any type of stressors in our life, is to talk to yourself.
Yes.
Right? People forget that. Hey,
talk positively to yourself. Yeah.
So something that, and 75% of our self-talk is usually negative.
Negative.
Goes unnoticed. So you have to pay attention to it and talk back to that. So you look at it, the saying, what if I fall? Or what if you fly?
Exactly. And if I fall, I'll get back up.
Yeah.
And that is success.
Yes, that is success.
We're old enough now to know.
And that's it. With age comes knowledge and understanding. And so that takes me just to one of the things we wanted to talk about in the workplace, especially young people going into the workplace. And as a young person, sometimes going into a workplace, I can remember two of my first jobs, not feeling supported by other women who had been there before, who had, not everyone, but in particular, noticing that people didn't really want to see this young person come in and shine. And now I work with younger people, and I try to encourage and support. Where does this workplace type of bullying, is that this is a positivity show, I don't want to harp on that, but where does that come from, and how does a young person or anybody going into a new work environment deal with that? Yeah,
that's such a great point, and I love that you say this is a positivity show, and it's how do we handle those things that happen. It's not ignoring them.
Exactly. Right. Facing them. No, it's not fake.
How do we respond rather than react to the situation? So as you like to say, I call it unhealed trauma.
Yes.
So let's look at your example that you just gave there, right? There's a storyline, there's an author that says, whether you're the villain or the hero depends on how you respond to your pain. And see, you've chosen to respond by, okay, this was done to me, I want to ensure that I never do it to anybody else.
Yes.
Right.
We often go in the organization where, first of all, the organization is not built for women. It was built for men. There are systemic barriers in place for women. We're often held down. And so there's limited spots. And when you have limited spots, it often leads to women feeling that there's a competition.
Insecurity.
Yes, there's not enough for all of us, so I have to. And then we're taught certain things that when we look at a woman and we see, we're taught to be shy and retiring. Don't talk about your wings. You're bragging.
Because you're not supposed to show off.
No, you're showing off.
And who does she think she is? She thinks she's better than everybody else.
So you see somebody looking all confident and enthusiastic and energetic, and you think back to, well, this has been beaten out of me, not necessarily physically, but the comments. I fear being shunned, so I learned how to stay in the box
and to dim my light,
and dim your light. And so you meet a lot of women that their response is to, when they see it, is to say, "Whoa, what's happening here? Who are you?
Yeah, why do you think she can come in here like that?"
And why I used to get a lot. Oh, you think you're so glamorous or and like making it feel like there's something wrong with that sort of thing. Yes, I like to dress. I always have. Come from a history of women in my family who like that. So I wouldn't say
own it and show it. Not?
And if that is what you like, and if it wasn't what I like, I would not shun somebody because they didn't do what I did.
Absolutely.
So why should someone shining intimidate somebody else?
Because that's their conditioned response. And we say that you're not responsible for your first thought, but you're responsible for your second thought and first action.
Absolutely.
And so
that is a gem.
That is a gem.
We internalize the bias that have been done to us. Without clarity, we can repeat it.
Yes.
And so when you look at some person for the first time, and I mean it happens, you look and you see somebody shining and you're like,
oh dear.
Why them, not me?
And
that's a conditioned response. You have to learn, and this is where the self-talk that you talked about comes. Oh, that's condition. For me to see her as competition.
Right.
Okay. And comparison.
And comparison is a thief of joy.
Expresses a thief of joy. That's a self-esteem issue. And so what you have to do is now say, okay, that was my first conditioned response based on the culture, the values, how I was raised. When you're growing up, girls are taught to cater to boys, so they'll stay and do all the chores.
Right.
I like to say the Guyanese proverb, tie the heifer, loose the bow. I
love that. Tie the heifer, loose the bow. That's funny.
You stay here. And so you have to recognize that's a conditioned response. And so what do I want? Let me choose how I want to respond. And I'm going to respond by saying, wow, look at you.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yes. My first response is, you look amazing. I love your skirt. I've always been that person that similar. Walk down the street, you see somebody, and I'm like, wow, you look fabulous.
And some people are taken back by it,
and don't know how to respond to you. It's almost like, exactly.
We don't know. We're not taught how to accept compliments, and no, you. Sometimes I do say that. Thank you for looking so good. The effort you took this morning.
Yes.
Great. I love when I see brilliant, confident women demonstrating their knowledge. They know how it is. And I always say this to people, sometimes I was, the other day I talked to a colleague and I say, how are you doing? She said, fabulous. And then she listed off all her accomplishments. And then I literally saw the moment when she realized, oh my goodness, does that sound cocky? Am I sound like I'm bragging? And then I could see she's starting to
pull back.
I said, well, I didn't know. And it's like, no.
Do you
celebrate you?
Celebrate you.
Because that does so much for women that they don't understand. I always say that if you're feeling down, if you're feeling a lack of self-confidence, go find women who are succeeding and celebrate
Exactly.
Go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated.
Exactly, And also surround yourself with those kind of women. And if you're around a group of women or men that are talking about others, that the time is spent talking and pulling others down, that may not be the space for you. And you need to know that is not the space for you. But my question to you, Sonia, is how do you deal with that? Because for me, I try to be empathetic to those women who are coming at you with that.
She's very empathetic. I have to work on that side.
I see it as a reflection of them and not a reflection of me.
Yes.
So therefore, I don't know what they're dealing with, what they've come to the office with, what they've come to the meeting with. And I really try to be empathetic, because not that I feel I'm better than them, because I know I have my moments.
Right.
But how do you tell young professional women and men how to cope with that in this new workplace, in a workplace now where you're working virtually and sometimes remotely and then working together?
So it's a two-stage process. Where you are is a further down the...
Girl, I'm old. I'm a little older now. I wasn't always there. I wasn't always there.
You recognize it's not about you.
Yes.
You center yourself and realize that this is not about... But at the beginning, when you walk in, and we're interdependent. We all need validation. We all need to be seen. We all need to feel like we're belonging.
Yeah.
And that's why it hurts so much when you go in and you feel that.
Right.
And the goal is not to harden your heart, because then you internalize it and then repeat
become
it
that.
when you get it right. The first
Yeah.
part is to recognize I cannot thrive being surrounded by this.
Right.
Ooh, some good tea was spilled today. Tune in next week for part 2.